Hello people, what is going on? Mr. Challenge is coming at you here with a little bit of a news update video post the opening of the new servers. My comments been a little bit quiet, and that's because they've kind of been doing a big brother. They've been watching. They've been watching how people have been behaving. Been watching what people have been doing. They've been watching people not make things because his recipes be wild and crazy and insane. But yeah, we are going to talk about recipes. So Ankama just had a Ankama live, which they didn't really post anything about it, but they did talk about recipes here. And they finally got a devlog forum update here, which we'll talk about. But a quick confession here, folks. As much fun as I had on Epsilon and the whole Destination Astrop event, starting all over from scratch, once I hit level 100, I definitely slowed down significantly to the point where I kind of stopped playing for a little bit, and for this very reason, because of the recipes. If we go back to my screen here, my game, post 100, crafting gear after level 100 became very difficult and very inaccessible. And I've tried very hard not to do a multi-account. I've been trying to stay with the mono account experience, of course, trying to really envelop myself into the whole mono account thing. You only have one device, one account, right? So I've been trying my best not to run multi accounts, and let me tell you, it is hard, and it's been hard because making some of the gear post level 100, some of it is insane. So the gear ideally, because this is a intelligent SRAM here, I would have loved to gotten into was that box set. I forget what it's called. It's called Ogisano, Oguaxano, Oxingul. This thing here. Prices have dropped quite a bit, but yeah, these things especially as a single account, there was no way I was buying the stuff, or let alone farming like the whole set. And I just been doing random stuff. Like I haven't been really leveling or going out of my way to level, but 130, level 130. And the thing that sucks is I just been leveling, just doing random stuff. But the resource guardians get tougher, the doppels get tougher, and eventually I gotta upgrade my level 63 amulet. And those recipes were wild. I've been slowly doing it here and there, but truth be told, guys, it hasn't been fun. It hasn't been fun, and honestly, it has been a big deterrent and why I haven't been playing, just because it's not fun farming gear. I get it. It's an MMO. Farming is part of the game, of course, right? But I'm talking about monotonous farming, and we'll talk about it here in a little bit too. But monotonous farming, like farming copious amounts of 45 feathers, right? 40 of this, 50 of that, right? It's not fun, right? Because again, you level up as you're farming, right? And by the time you get it, it's I'm 15 levels over this thing. And I just did all that work, and it's oh shoot, I already out leveled it by the time I get it. So yeah, so recipes are a huge issue. I'm not gonna read the whole thing verbatim, but this is something they encountered and something they noticed, and people have been complaining about it. And obviously this is something that affected me personally to the point where I kind of stopped playing the game. I am a content creator after all, and even myself, right? I only play a handful of hours every day, if that, right? Farming, an example to give here, farming 40 healing branch leaves. I'm talking about weeks of work of just doing the same thing, and honestly, I'd rather do something else, right? So they are addressing recipes, they are addressing stuff to the economy, they're addressing stuff regarding monster drops, stuff like that. But still, I think these changes are good, and we'll go through them here, but so far what they are proposing are very good. The only issue I have is a lot of stuff is exacerbated on Epsilon, just due to the fact that the population the player base, it's not as big as other servers. And here, they make again, we're going to talk a lot about the healing branch. They talk about how on Telewan, which is like the new like French servers, or the French server, the new one that opened alongside Talok and Epsilon, you could get 40 branches for 140,000 commas, right? Which roughly divides into 3.5 KK per healing branch, which is, it doesn't sound too bad, really. But because on Epsilon, and we're just, we're doing it live here. We're not doing it live, but we're doing it as we go. If we look up the healing branch here, resources, plant, healing, it literally costs almost 10 times as much on Epsilon to get these healing branches, which is insane. I know a lot of people say, Epsilon, the economy is broken, it's inflated, there's something wrong with it, and the sad truth is it isn't. Yes, if you compare it to another server, there's going to be huge discrepancies between the two servers, right? And again, let's use the new servers for example, right? Telewan, the branch is 3.5 KK, whereas post here on Epsilon is 37 KK, right? Let's just use round numbers, 10 times as much, 10 times more expensive, right? And that's not because Epsilon is broken, right? It's just because the population that stimulates the economy is not as big or as strong or as involved as it is in Telewan, right? And something that people got to keep in mind, and I don't know, maybe Uncommon needs to consider too, is that servers' economy are independent from each other, right? Just because on Telewan this branch is 3.5 KK doesn't mean that here it should be 3.5 KK, right? Because it's a free market, right? The market sets the price. On Epsilon, the market says, no, fool. It's 37 KK. That's the right price, right? Even this is inflated, as you can tell. But we're using round numbers, right? We're making the math simple here. Right? So it's not that the server is inflated or anything like that. It's just that's where the economy landed, right? Due to the player base, due to the small engagement of the English community, right? Because obviously, I could tell based on these prices that not a whole lot of people are dropping this enough to lower the price, right? And that's what's happening here, right? It's just because the economy is one way on one server doesn't dictate that it should be on another server. So keep that in mind, folks. Keep that in mind. But yeah, they talk about that. They talk about how there's a discrepancy with the amount of resources you drop, and they talk about the where's that little section at here? They talk about some monster in Frigos. So if we go here to the bestiary, let me remember to switch here the screens. Frigos almost created. So you talk about the Caribbean here. They talk about how all these monsters drop this oil, right? This family of monsters, right? They all drop pirate oil, right? This yellow guy drops pirate oil. This red guy, this stick guy drops oil. This hammer guy, they all drop oil, right? But they all have their own unique thing they drop, right? Like this guy drops the buoy. This guy drops the this thing here, the shell. But when it comes to the recipes, there's a huge kind of the ratio just doesn't match up, right? Because when you're farming these guys or these family, you're dropping copious amounts of pirate oil, but not a whole lot of this buoy. So if we look at the recipes here, actually I found a good example here with this ring, right? This ring, you need 45 of these unique resources, but you only need a measly 15 or 14 of this oil, right? So something they want to address is kind of like that ratio, right? Where like this resources that you're dropping a whole bunch of, you're dropping a bunch for no reason because you don't really need a whole lot, as opposed to where this you need a ton of, but you're not dropping a whole lot. So it's kind of like inverted, and that's something they're trying to address here with this kind of update they want to implement here, which I think is near the end of the month, so in a week or two, they're trying to implement this stuff. So that's the kind of stuff they've been observing. They've been observing, people are just having a hard time, especially mono account, right? Because this is Dofus Touch. People do multi-account, but it is, Dofus Touch does lean more towards like the single account player, right? Yeah, there's gonna be people who are running the full team. And of course myself, like I said, I've been trying so hard not to run multi-account and just kind of like immerse myself in the single account experience. And it's gotten me to the point where like I don't want to play. Like literally, truth be told, I am like one of the few English Dofus Touch creators. Obviously I'm a big fan of the game, but this experience of how like the game has been designed with the recipes has made me not want to play the game, right? And as an MMO, that's not the place where you want to be, where you want, people are frustrated because they can't really progress in a way where it kind of, I'm not saying it make it easier, right? But make it accessible, right? At the end of the game, you want people to experience the game, right? You don't want to wall them off, or to kind of turn them off or turn them away just because you want to make some of this stuff hard just for the sake of being hard, right? And this is something as as a game designer, as a Commonwealth dev team, they do talk about how it's kind of tricky to balance this, right? And it is, I'm not, I don't want to like, I don't want to undermine that aspect of this balancing, because it is a tough thing to say, but I would rather have people not frustrated and continue with the game, because obviously, it's not only me. I have seen the server, and again, speaking from Epsilon perspective, the server has definitely slowed down very greatly since like the first initial month of the server opening. Obviously, you had like the whole hype of the server opening, like a lot of people coming in, but it definitely slowed down. And recipes, I would give reason that recipes were part of it too, because it was hard, right? Like I was being walled. That's what I was experiencing, because I just I was leveling up, but my gear wasn't leveling up, and yeah. So short-term solutions. So one big thing they want to do here is they want to remove the dungeon exclusive monster. They want to remove it out of the dungeon and just place it as a regular enemy, which I'm 100% on board on. So again, for example, let's take that healing branch. If we look at our map, so the healing branch, you could be able to find it here, right? And it's gonna make it a little bit more accessible for you to drop and to farm out resources, which I 100% agree. I do feel like this is a repercussion of that update of going to 4 players and reducing the length of the dungeon, right? Because if we go here into the bestiary, if we look here at Ankama, Evil Forest? No, not the Evil Forest. Swamp. Where are you? Kind of forest? No. 47 in this game. It's too many. What was that? I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, so the unique monster, right? So because they went down to like just 2 rooms and a boss, you're only fighting one of these unique monsters like 1 or 2 times per run. So not only that, so if we look at the soft focus set here, healing branch. So if we go back here, so not only are you fighting like 1 or 2 of these at a time, this only has like a 6% drop rate. So this makes it extremely hard, extremely difficult to accumulate a large amount of these resources. And I agree. I mean, there's a huge discrepancy. Like, this shouldn't be like this. Something this hard, you shouldn't require 40 of these branches when it's that hard, difficult to drop. You know, maybe if you only need 10, right? That's a little bit more reasonable. All right, but 40 is insane, and you know, and the higher you go up, right, especially into Frigos, like that just gets crazier. Where like those unique boss monster drops, like you're looking for like up to like 50 or 60 of them when you're only fighting like 1 or 2 of them at a time. And now they only drop like 1 or 2 per potentially up to like 2 branches could drop, right, per fight, per enemy. And yeah, it just makes it tough. I'm glad they're addressing this. I'm glad they are recognizing that this is an issue. But yeah, here's the carabine buoys here. So yeah, they're gonna change a lot of that stuff. Okay. Another thing here is lifting alliance zones. You know, at me if you want, but yeah, getting rid of like that PvP wall when it comes, especially if you know some of the resources you need for just creating gear, right? Just regular, you know, I'm just regular dude. And, you know, it sucks when, you know, one of these gears is locked behind a AVA alliance territory, right? I know they popped some of these monsters out here, but it's not the same. So I'm glad they're lifting that, and they do talk about how they will eventually, they don't set a set date or anything, they will eventually address the alliance system, but for now they're just going to lift the alliance system from the alliance territories, which is good news, because as you guys know, I don't think too highly of PvP in this game. They also talk about they're going to mess with the composition of monster groups, which I think was a thing already. I don't know. So they're talking about how they could populate the maps with groups of like 1, 2, or 3 or 4 monster groups, which is fine. You know, makes it a little bit accessible if you're playing alone. And, you know, especially those quests where like, oh, you just gotta kill 30 of these guys, right? And you're just by yourself, right? You just want to like fight monsters by yourself. Now there's gonna be monsters of, you know, 1 or 2, or be a little bit more common, so a little bit more accessible. And of course, if you're just farming, if you're just like farming by yourself, you know, just you want to get a few drops here and there. You know, now you can fight these little smaller groups on your own. Another big thing here is they are going to do away with the star system. So we go here back to the game. The star system works where if a mob kind of sits on a map, it accumulates stars. And what stars do is it increases the XP it gives and the drops. So they're going to do away with the system because this system here doesn't really promote or incentivize people killing a mob as quickly as a system here where, like, if a mob sits on a map for more than 10 minutes, it'll like remix itself to make it more incentivized for people to attack it. So because of this kind of jitter that happens, you know, people are finding more mobs that more likely contain monsters that they're looking for, and it makes it a little bit easier. It's a little bit of a streamline when it comes to like farming. So if we move back into the game here, so because mobs are gonna reshuffle every 10 minutes, you could scout around, right? If you're like hunting a particular monster, you could go scout around, and by the time you loop around, you're gonna get new mobs because those mobs have refresh, as opposed to just the same mobs just sitting there and just attacking it for the sake to clearing it. So it's all right. So far, so good. They do talk about long-term changes. They do eventually want to change. Oh no. Okay. So first, this is actually kind of funny, and this has nothing to do with the thing here, but this is a little quirk thing. I'll tell you guys. So they do talk about adding an extra challenge in combat with the next update this summer. Okay. So one thing I had kind of like playing around in my mind is because, you know, if you guys look at my YouTube channel icon, it is a Dofus with a C in it, and I always refer it in my mind as a Challenger Dofus. So in my mind, I always thought it would be cool to have Dofus called the Challenger Dofus, where if you equip it, it unlocks another challenge for you. And this would be like a personal challenge, right? It's not like a group thing where like if everybody has the Challenger Dofus equipped, you know, you get 4 more challenges. No, this is just unique to you. So if you have it equipped, it's a challenge just for you, and you're the only one that can see it. But I always had the idea, like, if you have it equipped, it gives you another challenge, pretty much. So I thought it was kind of funny, and I thought it was kind of funny how, like, Hankam was gonna, let's give him an extra challenge there. So I thought that was kind of cool. So they do want to make kind of gameplay aspects where certain resources are destroyed. It's just to encourage like the cycling of them too, which is good because it kind of gets rid of excess resources. It gives them purpose too if they're being used up, even if it's just to destroy them. It keeps their value up high too. And also, yeah, they want to retrigger how mobs drop stuff. They give an example of how the Gobhorn would drop only from Cabals and the Cabal Warsheath. Obviously, it makes sense because they're the. Actually, you know what? Let's take a look at them here. I do like how they're having more context to this stuff. Let's go to the bestiary. Let's go to Astrum. Tenilla. Oh no, they do have little horns. So yeah, the horns would only drop from. So this guy doesn't drop horns. So okay, let's go back here. So the horns will only drop from the regular Gabals and the Warsheaths. Slobber would drop from the Goblies. Royal Gabal Wool will only drop from the Royal Gabal. So yeah, it makes sense. Because I think right now, oh yeah, so you guys can see right here. Right now, all the Gabals drop this Slobber, right? And when you're farming these, you're getting just copious amount of these Cabal Slobbers. Again, going back to that buoy thing we talked about. So that's something they want to balance out. Where like they want to get rid of like the universal resource the family group drops, which is, you know, it's good. It's good. And that is it, folks. That is it for today. As you can see, we like to deal with things promptly while also taking our time as to not completely disrupt the game's economy, whether on old servers, which have suffered quite enough already, or the new ones. Feel free to share your thoughts. Again, I love all the changes they're proposing here. I think they're good servers to incentivize a properly stimulated economy. I think this is a good way where I think the key word here is accessibility and not necessarily easier, right? Because there is a big difference. There is a big difference because, you know, at the end of the day, you want people playing your game because it's accessible, right? And I think from the comments here, let's go ahead and read the comments here. Good idea. The only problem, what about the orbs? That only come from a session island. It's a big problem in your server. Yeah. Well, the issue, I don't think this applies here because the orbs are not a monster drop. The orbs are a reward of sorts. If a monster group has to be defeated after 10 minutes, it will automatically be replaced. If somebody loves that idea. Monster exclusive to dungeons, healer branch will now be accessible. Perfect. Yeah, since I have the game up here, let's go to Frigos. Because one thing, where you are in the Winter Gardens. Winter Gardens. Where are you? Water Clock Tower? Now, where's the place inside Nilessa? No, not Cauldron. Permuff? Nope. Are you not here? Frigos is a different section? One second, folks. Oh, it doesn't tell you what. But yeah, there's like that bug thing in here where it has thermite? It's a bug. Where are you? What are you called? It's like a leg. It's like a bug leg, thermite leg. But yeah, you need like 75 of those things. So like, whew. Oh, it is a thermite. Yeah, so this leg thing. Some of these, you need like 50 of them, 40. And we're talking about like end game monster. 84 for this hat. This is insane. And again, you only fight 1 or 2 per dungeon run. And you're expected to have 84 of these things. Like, this is insane. This is... And again, like even cutting it by half, that would be huge help. But yeah, stuff like that. It's like little stuff like that. Little stuff like that is what, it's what keeps people from enjoying the game. And it shows. It shows. I was affected by it, and I'm like one of the biggest Dofus Touch fans. And I was like, man, screw this. I got better things to do. But yeah, folks, I hope you guys enjoyed that rundown. We are almost at 30 minutes here. But yeah, so expect this to hit at the end of the month. So it is currently May 20th. So yeah, a couple of weeks. But let me know, guys. Let me know what you guys think. You guys like the changes coming? You guys hate it? Leave it in the comments below. But until next time, this has been Challenge GX. Take care of yourself and peace.